Hello, YouTube. I'm just setting up on Facebook now. So, okay, move that around a little bit. Oh, boy, oh boy. Had a crazy day today. Okay, so I'm just setting up on Facebook. I don't know if I can do Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok today. I'm just kind of tired today. I don't know if I can do them all in one go. I might split them up. So, it takes a lot out of me to do an hour and a half because it's just me talking. So, yeah, it's a lot. Okay. And even when I'm coaching, hi, Olivia. Even when I'm coaching, the other people are talking at the same time. So it's different. But yeah, these lives they take a lot of energy. I just don't have the energy today. So we'll see. I might just do Facebook and then I'll take a break and then I'll do Instagram. Then I'll take a break and then I'll do TikTok. So we'll see. Hello, everyone. Anyway, I always say the same thing every day when I go on Facebook. This is my smallest live. So I should be able to get to all your questions. So it's probably the best live to be on because I do them on other platforms too, which are busier. So it's really good. I should be able to answer all your questions, which I always get really stressed out when I get too many questions I can't answer. I don't know why. It just bothers me. So this Facebook one's always kind of relaxing. Although I do love doing the lives, but yeah, it's no stress here. Okay. So let's get going with your parenting questions. And if you go in the link above in my description here on Facebook or in YouTube, you can see the description there. You'll see my link. And in the link, it's my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, and coaching. I spend most of my days coaching. A lot of people have asked me lately, oh, do you do one-on-one coaching? I'm a parenting coach. So yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, anyway. So feel free to ask your questions. I'll do my best to answer them to the best of my ability. As a parenting coach, parent-child relationship, that's all I do. I don't teach teaching or daycaring, or huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. Oh, I don't discuss those roles because I don't know anything about them. Yeah, stay in my lane. Okay, so your parenting questions. I'm just waiting here. There's, oh, geez, it's a small group. It says it's only 4 people in here. And I've got 2 people on YouTube. Okay, here we go. 17-month-old keeps hitting me as mama and done everything and still does it. Stay calm, etc. 17-month-old. Okay, they're just going to hit. Check out my toddlers who hit, bite, etc. I think that's what I called it. Anyway, it's in the link above. It's all about consistent corrective action. They're not going to learn the first time, though. They're going to learn maybe the 100th time that you say no, and then you remove them or remove yourself. You just kind of get some distance between you and your toddler, but you might have to restrain them initially and say no, and you just hold them for a few seconds. You say no, and then you might just walk away and go and do chores. You're not leaving them. You're just going off and doing your chores, going about your business kind of thing. Okay, what age do you recommend teaching inside voices, and do you have any tips for that? Not really. They're about 3 when they'll start to pick up on that. And it's often social pressure that teaches them that. Like when they go out yelling, they kind of get embarrassed when people look at them weird because they're screaming. So yeah, around 3, they start to pick up on that stuff. Social skills are not a strength of the toddler. Social skills, they don't care about those. They're not there yet. They don't get social skills. I should do a video on that. I'm going to write that down. Do toddlers have social skills? My basic answer is nope. Anyway, I wrote it down for a video idea, so we'll see if I do that. Okay, so what other questions do you have? Makes sense, thank you. Yeah, too young. Too young under the age of 3, and even at 3, they're just starting to learn. There's a lot of adults who don't have any social skills, so. And social skills, and I already sort of answered that in a way. I said social pressure will teach them that. It kind of goes hand in hand, right? Okay, so I'm just waiting for your questions here. I'm not used to that. Instagram is my busiest live right now. The most people I ever had in a live was 26,000 people. And it was on TikTok. Can you imagine? And I was new at doing lives too. Oh my God, I was so stressed out. Anyway, so yeah, imagine that many people. Oh, when I saw the number, my daughter was watching because I was new on doing lives, and she saw me look up and go like this. I saw the number of people in the live. I just about soiled myself. It was funny. Okay. Not that I'm shy, but I thought, how do I answer all these questions? Okay, so 15-month-old hitting and biting. Yeah, they're going to do that. They're just learning. I still kind of consider that a baby. I say babies are 0 to 15 months and toddlers are 16 to 35 months. That's sort of the way I do it. But yeah, you just say no. It's consistent corrective actions. They're not about words. They're not listening to you. They're watching you. They are not listening to you. There's many therapy sessions discussing, you hurt my feelings when you hit. Don't do that. It upsets me. They don't give a crap. They're not listening to any of that. It's just no, and then you kind of push them away gently. You just you're letting them know no, and then you go like that, and you might go off and do the dishes or do something. So yeah, they'll eventually learn, but not right away. So I live downtown. You might not have heard that. Yeah, horn was going. I've had a lot of questions lately. Do you do coaching? I'm not trying to sell anything on here really, but yeah, I do coaching. I'm a parenting coach. That's what I do. Most of my days are spent coaching people. I do it all on Zoom. I was quite surprised. A lot of people have asked me that in the last week. I don't know why. I was surprised at that. I thought people don't always know that we think they do know. Like, you've got your own lives. You're not studying what I do. But yeah, I'm a parenting coach and I specialize in teenagers. But if you can handle teenagers, you can do any age. Do you know I've been hired by tons of teachers, principals, and child psychologists? I've never been hired by a youth worker. Youth workers work with problem teenagers. If you can get respect with a troubled teenager, you don't need my help. That's level 10 with all this stuff. And that's my favorite age is teenagers. What if he's hitting and it's okay? Sugar, I just lost it. Sorry, it just scrolls. What if he is hitting his brother, 4 years old? Well, how old is he? I don't always remember the name. 15-month-old hitting his brother. Yeah, same thing. You intervene and you say no, and then you give the 4-year-old some attention. Say no. Are you okay, sweetie? So yeah, they'll learn the 50th, maybe the 100th time, but not the first 10. When do you think sleep training is appropriate? What do you mean by sleep training? There's millions of different ways to train a child to sleep, so I don't know what you mean by that. Yeah. Are you trying to get them to bed, keep them in bed? Is it a baby that keeps waking up in the middle of the night? There's a million different sleep things that I deal with, so be more specific. Okay, I've only got 19 people in there, and I've only got 3 people. I've got 22 people watching, and I'm getting I can answer all the questions. It's great. That's why I like the smaller group too, because I can get to all the questions. It's very frustrating when I can't. Anyway, out of co-sleeping 3 months old. Oh, just a tiny baby. Yeah, you're going to have to go through a really rough time. If you really want to get them out of your bed, you're going to have to put them in what I did with my kids? I put them in a pram. I think my daughter I did this with because her bedroom was further away. When my son was born, the bedroom was right there. So our 2 bedrooms. So it wasn't a big deal. But her bedroom, the nursery was down the hall. So I kept her in a pram or stroller. In Australia, where I raised them, it's called a pram. Anyway, I kept her in the stroller right by my bed. So I took that stroller everywhere I went. So whatever room I was in, she was in there with me. So she was in there, but we did co-sleep with her a lot. She wanted to be cuddled all the time. So eventually when I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore, because you're always worried about, suffocating them or something. I don't know how people co-sleep with babies without worrying about that. Like, how do you not worry about smothering them? I never really slept hard when she was in my arms at night. Like, it was just always kind of worried. Anyway, so finally we put her in her own room and put her in bed in her own bed. And I think it's just, she didn't go through it really bad. My son did more. He was older, about 8 or 10 months old, and he cried more. But yeah, you're just gonna have to let them cry in their crib. What I did too is I wrapped them up with something that smelled like me, like something, especially the boob area. So whatever I was wearing that day, I would wrap it around them. As long as it's safe, you know what I'm saying. But yeah, so they had that scent. It was more soothing. But still, it's going to be hard. Not everything's easy. I can't make everything easy for you. I can just confirm that, yeah, it's going to be a little bit tricky. But do the right thing, follow through. You're doing the right thing. So, hello from Melbourne, Australia. May I please ask, how do you encourage a 6-year-old to stay in her own bed all night? Okay, check out my Bedtime Battles course. That teaches you how to keep them in bed. It's 2 parts: how to get them in bed, then how to keep them in bed. So it's a whole system how you do it. But yeah, check that course out. It's one of my mini toddler courses. Well, it's not a toddler course if it's 2 to 8 years old. But anyway, it just teaches you how to get them in bed. It's not easy, but it's usually one night of hell. That didn't sound good. It's usually only one night of hell. That's what I meant to say. Oh, it's a horrible night of hell. What I meant was it's only one night of hell. So what I mean is it's not a whole week. But is there any age you think is too early to start potty training? Oh, yeah. I think a lot of people try and start at 1 or 1.5. Some kids can do it, but they often regress. So I trained my kids at 2.5. My daughter, I probably could have trained at 18 months. My son, not so much, but I trained him in 1 day and her in 2 days to potty train. No night diapers, no pull-ups, nothing. But we took the porta potty everywhere we went. So I always had that handy. Anyway, and I kind of planned everything out for a couple of weeks. I was very, strategic in where I took them. But yeah, I think I don't know the exact age, but they're almost all ready at 2.5. Could be a little bit later, could be a little bit sooner. I'd say within 6 months on either side of that. Sounds about right. What's your best advice on and when and what age to take dummy away completely? I don't know about that one. I did that with my son. He was 18 months old, and we'd been overseas. We lived in Australia, and we came back to Canada to visit my family. And I thought, there's no way I'm taking this dummy away from him on that huge 24-hour flight, that trip. So anyway, as soon as we got home, we both had jet lag, my son and I, horrible. And I thought, I'm going to get rid of these dummies now. Now that we're home, no more flights planned. Anyway, so I showed him and I got him a new sippy cup. And then I said, okay, we're going to put all the dummies in this bag and you hold them. And I carried him out to the carport and I opened up the big wheelie bin and I said, bye-bye dummies. And he threw them in there. He kind of knew, they always kind of pick up in he was starting to understand when mom said something that was going to happen. I was sort of going into that leadership role, even at that young age. So anyway, but he had tantrums and I was terrified. I thought, why would I do this when I got jet lag? How stupid am I? Anyway, I thought I am going to be in for it. He's going to have tantrums. It's going to be a nightmare. He never asked for dummies once because we put them outside. He knew when something went out in that big wheelie bin, it wasn't coming back. I'd replace them with sippy cups. It wasn't a sippy cup. It was a little straw cup. And it had a chewy, like a nice rubber straw or something that he could sort of chew on. But he tried that for a while and then kind of lost interest. He just got out of the habit. Every so often, though, he'd go like this, looking for the dummy. And then he'd look over at me and I'd instantly look away. There's no way I was going to get eye contact with him. But he never asked for them once. I think I just lucked out with that. But yeah, it's like taking off a Band-Aid. Don't give them the dummy at night or in the morning or during nap time. It's confusing. It's like, why can I have it sometimes and not all the time? So yeah, just good luck with that. I can't make everything easy. I can just confirm that, yeah, you're doing the right thing. Some things are just going to be hard. Children struggle with transitions. We all do, but we get better. We get more used to doing them, but we do tend to play it safe and avoid transition stuff. Like we tend to stay in our comfort zone, even as adults, and to avoid transitions. Change, in other words, people tend to avoid change. Takes them out of their comfort zone. And unless you've had a lot of practice with that and you're better at it. Some people are addicted to change, but yeah, most of us aren't. So children have troubles with transitions, and that's what a lot of this stuff is transitioning from school. Then they got separation anxiety, and they got to take the dummy away. You got to stop breastfeeding. You got to get them in their own bed. It's one transition after another. But once you get good at it and you're doing the right thing, just follow through no matter how they react. That's okay. They're going to react. It's going to be difficult sometimes, but that's okay. My toddler, 3.5, well, under the age of 3 is a toddler to me. 3 and 4 is a preschooler to me, so it's just my own terminology. Has things we are working on. I got a whole bunch of stuff. How about I just get one? When he hits, we say, if you hit, you will sit. He sits for 3 minutes. Okay, I don't like that. That's timeout. It's okay. It's not bad. If it's working, keep doing it. Don't fix what isn't broken. But a lot of what's working now might, sort of be a detriment down the road. So I don't know about that one. If it's working, do it though. He's 3. I would put it on a behavior board. I put down no hitting on the behavior board and there's a consequence. Sitting isn't kind of big enough for me. I'm not huge on it. Yeah, you did timeout again. I can't stand timeout. I think it's mean. I know it's popular, but I don't like it. You go over there, you're not even worth talking to. Ugh, go over there, you think about what you did. They don't think about what they did. They go sit there and feel like crap about themselves. That's all they're doing. Yeah, I don't like it. I can't stand timeout. Blah, blah, blah. I've done a lot of videos on that, why I hate timeout. Yeah, could you imagine if you made a mistake at work and your boss said, go sit in a corner now for 10 minutes or whatever? You're 36 years old, sit in a corner for 36 minutes. Someone said once, it was very funny, they said, oh, I would love a 36-minute break. But you get the idea, though. It's humiliating. Kids feel the same way. They can't put that into words. Mother, this is humiliating. But it's humiliating. And I just don't like it. When should I stop letting my 18-month-old taking bottles in his bed, and how do I just take it? I don't know. You got to pull off the Band-Aid and just say, no more bottles in bed. That's it. It's up to you. I can't make that call. If you want to get rid of the bottles, I would just do it and go through a really rough night or two. Everyone wants to make everything easy. You can't. It doesn't work that way. Transitions are difficult. They're difficult for us. They're difficult for children. You have to be willing to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. Everyone wants the rainbow. Lisa, how do we avoid tantrums and scenes and fits? Why would you want to? That's where all the lessons are. That's them processing, not getting everything they want, when they want, and how they want it. And that's okay. Yeah. This comes up quite often, and I never quite know how to answer it. Can you comfort, and I'll tell you why. Can you comfort a toddler? This is on YouTube. That's why I'm looking down. Can you comfort a toddler, almost 3, when they are asking for a hug after being disciplined? Not giving in, just giving a hug. I let them hug me. I go, yeah, that's okay. Okay. And then I kind of distract. Sorry, I just got a message. Yeah, I let them hug me. But the thing is, if they just did something bad, it's almost like you're condoning what they did wrong when you hug them. They're almost asking for, did I do okay? So it's okay that I hit the dog, right? Can I get a hug? It's sort of the way they interpret it. And if your child is damaged by not being hugged when they've just been disciplined, you got bigger fish to fry. If they're that fragile and don't feel love that they can't handle that, you got bigger problems. So yeah, I would kind of, yeah, that's okay. All righty, I'm going to go do the dishes now or something. Yeah, if you do give them a hug, it's kind of validating what they just did. So I'm just going to look at a message here. It's a personal. It's my daughter. Okay. My kids' message, I always answer. Top priority, unless I'm doing a coaching session, then I don't, unless it's an emergency. But my first grandchild is due anytime, so I'm going to drop everything when that happens. Okay. When there's a baby due in the family, I feel like I'm on call. Like I'm just keep going, okay, should I eat a big bag of potato chips and feel like crap? No, what if I have to drive to the hospital tonight? Sort of don't do anything that you can't just drop everything and get up and go. Okay, I'm just on hold here. How can I help cousins 6 and 4? I can't tell you that. I can't tell you how to parent other people's kids. What if I told you how to manage those other people's kids and they didn't like it? I don't do that. I only teach parenting. A huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. Sometimes they'll ask about clients and students. It's none of my business. I don't know. I only know the role of parenting. It's personal. It's a completely different role. That's institutional and business. Parenting is personal. It's completely different roles. So I don't teach anything other than parent-child relationship or guardian-child relationship. So yeah, I would never tell someone how to handle someone else's kids. There were these kids today, and they were in the cafe, and I won't explain what they were in case that parent's watching. Oh, should I even say it here now? Sometimes people know who I am when I go out and about. You can see they're looking at me all funny. Either that or I have a booger stuck on my face and don't know it. I don't know. Anyway, I wish I had a filtering system. I just don't. Anyway, these kids were, I was sitting at my table at the cafe, and these kids were trying to look at something, and they're leaning on my table, looking over at stuff, and the father was doing nothing. I just thought, and the kids were about 5. They were old enough to know. And I just thought, you're not doing those kids any favor because they're so unlikable. Like everyone at the cafe was rolling their eyes, like looking at each other, like they were just loud and obnoxious. And the father just didn't have a clue. You're not doing your kids any favor by allowing them to be annoying. Like it just makes them unlikable. And but yeah, I just thought, yeah, I kept looking over at the dad to see if he was going to do anything. Obviously, he was struggling to care for them. But anyway, so but I just kind of felt sorry for the kids. It's not their fault they're acting out. It's the parent. He should have been correcting that. That's someone else's table. You don't put your elbows on someone else's table. Anyway, whatever. I know I don't say anything. I never would. I only give solicited advice. I would never give unsolicited advice. And I'm not working then anyway. I don't. When I'm off the clock, I don't want to work. So, okay, what is a good consequence for talking disrespectful to a parent or sibling? Very good question. Nothing you can do about it. You got to work on your leadership skills, and the attitude happens organically. You cannot say, oh, have some respect if you haven't earned it. If you haven't taught them how to respect, how do you expect them to respect? You're blaming them, not you. You got to set yourself up as a leader, and then they won't do that. That's how it works. You never address attitude with children. Their bad attitude is your bad parenting. Sorry about that, but it just is. Just is. Doesn't mean that you're not doing your best. It just means you don't know better. That's all. So yeah, I always blame myself. If my kids ever acted out, my son's 34, and even to this day, if he did something I didn't like, I go, where did I go wrong? Where did I go wrong? I take full responsibility for my kids, and I always suggest you do too. So if they're being disrespectful, look in a mirror and say, oh, what am I doing wrong? Fix yourself up, not your kids. Everyone's very quick to blame their kids, which I always find funny. Like, why wouldn't you blame yourself? Do you not feel responsible for your children's actions? That you are. Between the ages of 3 and 12 years old, their behavior is 100% a direct result of your parenting. 100%. Between the ages of 3 and 12. Toddlers are crazy anyway. Teenagers, they go a little bit more rogue. But yeah, 3 and 12 years old. When I was working with kids, whenever they acted out near me, or I always said, what am I doing wrong? These are kids I worked with for an hour a week. Troubled teenagers, whatever. I always blame myself. That's bad mentoring. Bad Lisa. I'm the adult. They're under my care while I'm working with them. If they act out, I'm doing something wrong. That's what a leader does. I teach leadership. I take full responsibility. When a child's under my care, I take full responsibility for their behavior. Yeah, I think, no, bad Lisa, bad mentoring. What am I doing wrong here? So anyway, does that make sense? You've probably already left. You go, geez, she's nasty. I'm just saying what I'm thinking. I'm sorry, it just flies out. Montana, U.S. Montana. That is mountain country, isn't it, Montana? I always think of ranches. Have I got that right? Oh, good. I love teenagers. It's my favorite age. My 14-year-old daughter is mad all the time. She stomps around at making bad choices. How do I bond, be more fun? Or be furniture when feet. Okay. Yeah, I talk about that, how to be furniture to bond with your teenager. How do I break through when she's mad and crying all the time? Okay, I don't know what's going on there, but you're kind of next level. You're kind of in the red zone. If she's that emotional right now, you might want to hire me to figure that out. I don't know why she's like that. I don't know what kind of parent you are. So why is she like that? Or what's going on externally? What's she got going on? Is she heavily online? Is there something going on with someone she's talking to online? I don't know. I'd have to figure that all out. So yeah, I'd have to assess the situation before I could really give you any advice. Okay. Yeah, someone asked me on YouTube, you're going to hate my answer. Do you have any tips for how to work on staying patient and calm during stressful situations with kids? No. You're investing in tomorrow. That's the only way I can explain that. It's like I have to do a lot of stuff in my business that I hate. I hate all the admin stuff. The behind the scenes stuff. I love coaching. I love talking to parents. If I could just do that all day, every day, it'd be great. But I also don't want to relinquish control to someone else because it's, the admin stuff. It's pretty intense. But anyway, so I absolutely hate doing it. But yeah, sometimes you just got to do the crap to get where you want. Sorry about that, but I can't help you with that. Just know that it's worth it in the end. It's something you got to do. Yeah, I never have any advice. People ask me that every single day. How do I stay calm in all the chaos? I don't know. Just have faith that it's worth it. Invest in that belief. It usually gets worse before it gets better, by the way. Because unless you've always been a leader, it won't. But if you weren't a leader yesterday and today you're trying to learn leadership skills, the kids are going to remember the yesterday and they're going to get worse before they get better. And that's okay. You got to be willing to go through the storm to get to the rainbow. How do I correct my 2, almost 3-year-old when he yells at me when asking him to do something? Just ignore the yelling and screaming and carrying on. If you ask him to do something, he doesn't do it, then make it happen. So you say, okay, get your shoes on. We're going out the door now. And he starts yelling and screaming. I don't repeat myself. I would go pick him up, pick up his shoes, and I'd strap him in the car seat, kicking and screaming. And then I'd put his shoes on when we arrive where we're going. So yeah, you say something once. If you know they're going to have a fit, then just take action. They're all about consistent corrective actions. Yeah, I only say something once. I just wouldn't repeat myself. It makes you look like you're begging, like you're weak. You say what's going to happen, but be fair and reasonable about it. Give them a bit of warning. Hey, we're going to be going out soon. Oh, we're going to be leaving soon. Okay, get your shoes on, out we go. No, well, that's it. I take action right away. You have to. 20-month-old screams and squeals for fun. Yeah, can't really help you with that. Shoot, my desk is hitting me. I can't really help you with that. You just kind of ignore that what you don't like, and then as soon as they talk in a way that you do like, then you might give them more attention. They'll eventually connect the dots, but not for a while. Toddlers are just crazy. Parents always want me to help them wrangle their toddlers in. I'm like, good luck with that. That's just not possible. So here's my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is you set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is you connect with a toddler by entering their world. And to me, a toddler is under the age of 3, by the way. You enter their world when you want to connect with them and bond with them. You don't go to the nail salon, you go to the park and roll down the hill with them. And then number 4 is it's kind of the same thing. When you're disciplining a toddler, you enter their world. They're all about action. So you use consistent corrective actions. These words, all these mini therapy sessions discussing big emotions and big feelings and all that garbage, that was invented to feed the mother's needs, to make her feel good about herself. It has nothing to do with the toddler. And the last one is stop trying to figure them out. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're just forming. Imagine if you've only been in the world for 2 years, and for one of those years, you were a potato laying on a mattress. Like, they have no context, they just don't have any concept of the world yet. They're cute as a button, but they're all feet, no brains. They've got one marble and some tumbleweed floating around in there. So yeah, control your environment by child-proofing and setting up a toy rotation system. Yeah. And just go with it. They're just forming. Thank you for your input. I'll get a behavior board ASAP. Yeah, it's all free. The behavior board's free. And wait for about 10 minutes. I've got a third-party delivery system there, and people, you know how many emails and messages and I didn't get my behavior board. I just signed up. It takes about 5 or 10 minutes. I never even answer those messages because often they'll go back, oh, never mind, it came. So it's not your fault. It's just I do that too. I've signed up for stuff and I don't get it right away. I'm like, what? So yeah, and I understand how that works now. It's just the delivery system. Anyway. How do I discipline without making my 2-year-old feel shame? She tells no at me. I just give her a look and then she kind of like this shame. Well, I don't know what you mean by that. So when you're talking about giving her a look, I'm not too sure about what you mean by that. They're about consistent corrective actions. So when they do something you don't like, you say no and you take the toy away or remove them from the fun or remove the fun from them. Just temporarily when they're little. And then it's I don't know what you mean by shame. How would you discipline an almost 4-year-old who's not listening without giving her a timeout or something? Okay. Check out my behavior board. It teaches you how to discipline. It starts at the age of 3, and that's what it's all about. I never used a behavior board. It's a teaching tool I developed 16 years ago. I started my business 17 years ago, but I didn't invent that behavior board till a year after I started my business because I was teaching parents what I did. Well, I already had all these skills. So the behavior board is a learning tool. It teaches you how one step at a time, one rule per week, how to start disciplining. And that's free. That behavior board's free. And also check out the boot camp course. That's from 3 to 12 years old. Teaches you how to be a leader. The focus is always on you. I don't teach kidding, toddlering, or teenagering. I teach parenting, all those different ages. So it's all, the focus is always on you. You lead, they will follow. That's the idea. You lead, they will follow. All children instinctively need, crave, and want a leader. If you don't provide that role for them at home as their parent, they're going to go searching for it elsewhere. You're going to be sending them out in the world. They're going to be very vulnerable to other influences. They're going to be very susceptible to bullying, peer pressure, the drug dealer on the corner, the internet, the Kardashians. They're going to go searching out a leader somewhere else. You want that to be you. You want to be a safe place to land where they tell you everything right through the teen years, just like I did with my mother and just like my kids did with me. We were safe places to land. We never yelled. We were very calm when we were disciplining and very fun the rest of the time. So you want to be a safe place to land. Kids, 3, 11, 13, and 16. Wow, you got 2 teenagers and 1 tween. And the 3-year-old's out of the toddler stage. That's good. I am a stepmom and we have primary custody. They all have chores and consequences when they do not do them. Oh, chores and consequences when they do not do them. I constantly feel like I'm just giving out consequences or reminding them about their chores. Is this parenting? Oh God, no. That's like this much of parenting. The rest of it is be fun. When they're not doing chores and when they're don't have to do homework or anything, just concentrate on having fun. Do silly stuff with them. Play on their world. Play as a group. Do group stuff. Okay. Although it's a really vast age. I always say play to the weak link, but anyway, do group stuff with them as much as possible. Have fun with them. Focus on fun. I always say you address bad behavior, but you focus on the good kid. In other words, have fun with them. Be fun. That was always my weapon of choice when I was working with kids. I worked with kids for 40 years or something, or 50 years. And I was 11 years old and I started volunteering in daycare centers. Like, who does that? It's really weird. I know, I didn't even tell my friends when I was doing that. I was embarrassed by it because I love mothering kids, even at a young age. And my weapon of choice was always humor and fun. So, and they're just putty in your hands. When you're the source of that fun, it gives you a lot of power. So yeah, you want to bond with them, connect with them. That's what the behavior board's all about. Check it out. You'll see what I mean. Your consequence is what I'm talking about here. You'll see what I mean. Check out the behavior board. Yeah, if all you're doing is correcting what you don't like, how on earth are you expected to have any fun with your kids? Parenting was the most fun I ever had. I never had to discipline my kids. Why would I? I was a leader. Leaders don't have to discipline. You work on your leadership skills and you don't even have to discipline. You got kids who have self-discipline. They just sort of do what they need to do before they can do what they want to do. They understand that. And you're accountable too. If I did something my kids didn't like, believe me, they told me. So it was a two-way street, mutual respect. But yeah, I didn't have to discipline them. Work on your fun. Check out the behavior board though. It sort of teaches you how to, the behavior board really is, the focus is your consequence. It's not about the kids. I don't tell parents that a lot because what are you talking about? But check it out. Your consequence is what I like most about that behavior board. Yells no and rolls eyes. So that's attitude. You don't address attitude. That just says that you're not a leader. That's all that says to me. I don't think I ever got an eye roll out of my kids. And I never did it to them either. So yeah. It just says that you're not a leader. Work on your leadership skills, and the attitude doesn't happen like that. It just doesn't. Okay, actually, I'm going to move over now to Instagram. So if you want to join me over there, it's Bratbusters Parenting, and check out the link if you want to see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or if you want to hire me for coaching. So anyway, I'm going to be moving over to Instagram now, and I'm still on YouTube. So I stay on YouTube through all the lives, and no matter what other platform I'm on, all my lives are saved on YouTube. Okay. Thanks so much for joining me. And I'm moving to Instagram now. I'm talking to YouTube right now. Instagram is my busiest live. I don't know why, because my biggest platform is TikTok. But I've been doing lives over there for so long, I think they already know what I'm talking about. So, but yeah, Instagram is my busiest lives. So I sandwich that in between the other two. See if I can do all 3 in a row. I'm kind of tired today. Just my voice gives out. Hello. I don't know if you came over from Facebook or not, but anyway. So welcome to my live. This is one of my unscheduled lives. I'm usually on here every single day, but I only schedule twice a week. So you can see that in the description. Facebook, I don't have that scheduled yet. I'm not too sure if I always want to add that on to the regularly scheduled ones, because an hour and a half of doing this is kind of, it takes a toll on my voice. So anyway, so let's get going with your parenting questions. This is my busiest live these days, is Instagram lives. I won't get to all the questions, but I'll do my best. And I'm also on YouTube at the same time. All my lives are saved on YouTube. And when I'm doing a live on Facebook, Instagram, or TikTok, they're also on YouTube. So you feel like going over there, if you're on your computer and you'd rather be on YouTube, you can join me over there. Okay, yeah, I don't allow people to come in on my lives. I only did it once about 1.5 years ago, and they started talking about their business. They were using, and I have a huge audience on TikTok, and they wanted my audience. Oh, I was so disgusted. I got rid of them. So I said, you're not here to, you're not doing this to my audience. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not saying you would do that, but I learned my lesson then. I don't let anyone else in. Thank you so much for making this content. I've learned so much. Excellent, excellent. That's why I'm on here. I'm really on here to make a difference. I know I'm not going to be popular with a lot of people because I don't have any tact. Okay, I just say it like it is. So, and that's okay, because you're never gonna, if you don't like that, you are never gonna like me, because I can't hold back. I don't have a filtering system. I just spew whatever I'm thinking. Thank God I'm not thinking murder and horrible things, because it would just all come out of my mouth. Okay, should we discipline cousins or friends of our children? Absolutely never, not, no, 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 no. None of your business, unless they're under your care, and even then, be careful with it. So yeah. Never when the parents are around. I would never do that. I actually lost friends because they couldn't control their kids, and they were just tormenting my home, my animals, my kids. So I lost a lot of friends that way because I didn't put up with that at all. I won't have my animals or my kids being beaten or anything. And if the parents couldn't handle it, I never said anything. I just never saw them again. Or I would see them like at night for dinner, but without the kids. But a lot of your relationships when you've got little children are dependent upon the fact that you're doing play dates with your kids. So you have friends where you see with your kids and without the kids, and then friends you just see with play dates. So those ones that I just saw with play dates, if their kids were being mean to my animals or kids, I never saw them again, because why would I? I would never discipline their kids. None of my business. Like I'll never tell my kids, I've got a grandchild due soon, my first one. I'll never tell my kids how to parent. None of my business. But I always say, but if I'm babysitting, grandma's rules. Yeah, but not when the parents are around. I'll never say a thing. None of my business. Unless they're tearing up my house, I might say something, but we'll see. And even then, I just say, I don't want them tearing up my house. You do whatever you got to do. How do I deal with 2-year-old having tantrums at bedtime? Thank you so much for your knowledge. Okay, a 2-year-old having tantrums at bedtime. I have a course called Bedtime Battles, and it is a couple things I'm thinking here. That's why I'm slowing down here. Okay, Bedtime Battles, you might want to check that out. That's in the link above. Anyway, it's called Bedtime Battles. It's from 2 to 8-year-olds. It's in 2 parts, how to get them to bed and then how to keep them there. The thing was, you said, how do I deal with 2-year-old having tantrums at bedtime? I don't really care if a kid has a tantrum. It means nothing to me. I'm still going to follow through with what we're doing. Like if they have to go to bed and they have a tantrum, I'm still going to just put them in bed. Like their tantrum can't overpower my leadership. A lot of parents give tantrums way too much power. They give their children so much power because they're afraid of them. They're afraid of a fit scene or a tantrum. In my mind, that's my opportunity to exercise my leadership. I'll never forget, I was working with this kid, and he was a handful, and obviously used to pushing everyone, or his parents especially. So I was working with him. He didn't know me, so he wouldn't have said this if he did. He said to me, if you don't get, and he looked just like this, if you don't give me what I want, I'm going to have a fit. And I said to him, bring it on. And he never did. He went like this, and he never did. It's like, boy, in that moment, I sure taught him what leader was here. But yeah, obviously his parents were afraid of him. And I thought, I am not. That's you bring it on. That's my opportunity to exercise my leadership. That's every tantrum is an opportunity for you to exercise your leadership. So yeah, never try to avoid that stuff. That's good stuff. That's where all this stuff happens. What's the best ways to help toddlers get the best sleep? I don't know what you mean by the best sleep. I have no idea what you mean. Usually they sleep like logs. What do you mean? They're up all night worrying about finances and how to pay the mortgage? Like, I don't know what you mean by that. Yeah, I don't know. 2-year-old always wanting to be carried from place to place around the house, cries and yells when we don't. There again. Why are you afraid of the crying and the yelling just because they're not getting their own way? Don't be afraid of that. Just say, no, I'm not picking you up right now. And I would go off and do my own thing. But don't just stand there like this. Make sure you're busy. Say, no, I'm busy doing dishes. No, I'm busy doing that. Let them hang on to you and scream and have a fit. That's okay. They will let them process that. I always say their fit scenes and tantrums are none of your business. That's their brain processing. Not everything's going to go their own way. That they are not the leader. Allow them to process that. Parents are trying to interfere in preventing all that important development. That's a huge development that you're interrupting. You're not allowing them to their brain to develop. Wait a minute, I want this. I may not get it, and that's okay. If you're always trying to intervene, you're not allowing that brain to process. Don't do the mini therapy sessions with toddlers. I'm begging you. Let's discuss your big feelings, your big emotions. It's garbage. That was invented to make the mom feel good. It has nothing to do with the toddler. It's all about the mom. It's about the mom's needs. It goes along with the use your words, that patronizing, horrible thing to say. Use your words. I've seen it. They say it to a 2-year-old. Use your words. How patronizing they are. Fits and scenes and tantrums are their words. What you're saying is, be more like me. Find your inner adult. It's ludicrous. It's so disrespectful. I don't know who invented that. I saw it first time I ever saw that one. I thought, holy moly, what are we doing here? At what age development level do we go from toddler corrective actions to discipline and behavior board? 3. That's at 3 years old, they can start to understand reasoning. They can start to stop and think before they act. That's when they're able to do that. Might be a little bit before, might be a little bit after, but 3, they usually can. Doesn't mean they're going to be able to be reasoned with. It means they have the ability to learn how to reason. Okay, because it's very, and plus it's visual. That behavior board, make it a big whiteboard or a big poster board. It's very visual. Here, if you do this, this is going to happen. They can actually start to learn that. It's 3. When they really can start to have empathy, don't let me go on too much about this, but about 50 years ago, whatever, I said 3 3/4 is when they have empathy. I remember saying that. I don't think I used the word empathy. It's when they understand there's other people in the world. 3 3/4. I used to say that all the time. It's when they're kind of becoming little people. 3 years, 9 months. Anyway, the experts were saying 5 years, 7 years, 2.5. Now, I just read about a year ago, 3 and 9 months. 3 and 9, I saw it with hundreds of kids. I saw that real shift. 3 years and 9 months old is when they look around, they go, oh, other people have feelings too. They just have the ability to understand they're not the only people in the world. They just start to become little people. 3 years and 9 months. But yeah, the behavior board starts at 3. Anyway, I had real validation when I read that they're all saying it's 3 years. They might have changed it again, I don't know, about a year ago, but all the scientists were coming up with this 3. I said that 50 years ago. So no one was listening to me. I don't have any credentials. No, all I have is experience. Yeah, no one was listening to little old me. Okay. Yeah, I'm struggling, my 2-year-old brushing teeth. Anyway, I don't have any good advice for you. It's one of those make it happen things. It's like changing diapers, getting them into their clothes, keeping them in bed. Just make it happen. I would just, if they're fighting, I would hold both their hands down around their chest here, and I would just say, well, it's going to happen. Don't get too rough with it. It's going to be a horrible brush, but just let them know it's going to happen, and be really calm when you're doing it. No anger. If you're angry, it's kind of mean. Just say, well, you're going to get your teeth brushed, and that's going to happen. And then you can just stop doing it. It's going to be a lousy teeth brushing experience, but you're letting them know that, hey, look, it's got to be done. And if you don't agree to it, I'm going to have to overpower you here. I did that. I think my son went through that. That was only once he learned, oh, wait, it's like getting my diaper changed. Mom's going to make it happen anyway. So they just learn not to fight. But you can't be angry. If you're angry, it changes it. It has a different tone. But yeah, it's going to be done. Here you go. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. It's all in the tone of voice, and your demeanor is So important. If you look angry, if you roll your eyes, if you go anything like that, you're going into the mean zone. It's different. It's just different. Okay. Oops. I got to scroll ahead because people might have. Oh my goodness. I'm going to miss so many questions. Sorry about that. I always forget Instagram doesn't scroll for me like TikTok. Oh my gosh. Oh, sorry. The older questions, people might have already left. That's why I do that. Okay. You said so many different things. People aren't arguing with me as much as they used to. I've said this before. I love it when people argue with me. I don't know why. Oh, I know. Because it makes me feel like I'm really making a difference. When people come at me and challenge me, it really makes me feel like I'm making a difference. Because if I can just change that one person's mind, and it's often someone big who really comes after me, like big on social media. And then if I can change their mind, I can change their followers too. To understand leadership is kindness, it's love. It's not about being the old-fashioned authority. You're not raising obedient soldiers. You're raising self-disciplined, high self-esteem, confident children who have a voice and make good choices. That's what leadership is to me. So yeah, but yeah, people aren't arguing with me. I'm not saying you should, but if you feel like you want to argue with me, go ahead. I actually really enjoy that because that's when I really feel like I'm doing something, like I'm really making a difference. Does that make any sense? Okay. I'm going to tell you a story here because it's not TikTok. When I first went on TikTok, oh my God, I was new. I say, I'm different from a lot of people out there and a lot of trends that are happening right now with parenting. So I was a big threat of it. I didn't know this was going to happen. My daughter kept saying, Mom, you got to go on TikTok. And I said, no, I'm not a 12-year-old dancer. So she goes, Mom, TikTok was made for you. It's casual. You can just go on, do a quick video, and that's what I'm all about. I don't like to plan anything out. I never like to think before I start talking. So anyway, she goes, Mom, just try it. Anyway, I blew up overnight, like fast. A lot of it was my competitors. I didn't know this. Other people were telling me this. They would do duet videos with me and do nothing but cut me down, criticize me. All their audience was coming over to me. They were building my channel. About a year in, I started talking about it, and then they stopped doing it. They didn't clue in why I was growing so fast. It was because they kept bad-mouthing me. And people were thinking, why is this person so awful? Why do you keep talking about her? So anyway, that's why I love, I really felt like, hey, I'm making a difference here. I'm shaking things up. So, and I'm doing it for you and for the kids. It's not just that I want good kids out there. I want you to enjoy parenting as much as I did. So anyway, I really quite enjoyed that. They didn't clue in what they were doing for me. And I didn't say anything for about a year. It's just watching it. Isn't that hilarious? I really believe in karma. Talk about karma. Oh God, it was great. There was me and someone who works with me. We were just watching it. We were laughing. Oh God, it was great. What do you think about screen time? Okay, I don't have an opinion on that because I don't know what's good and what's bad. You can go anywhere and you'll find people say, oh, 1 hour a day, no screen time, 10 hours a day. You're never going to find, because nobody really knows how much screen time is good. Here's what I suggest you do when the kids start to get a bit older. I call it screen media management. I've done a lot of videos on that. I don't do my Instagram, so I'm not too sure if it's on there a lot, but on TikTok, I've got a lot of videos on this. Media management or screen management, I call it. So what you do is when the kids I would do it even with like a 3-year-old, maybe 5, 3, around there. You can start, depending on the child, if they can really grasp this. You decide how many hours a week you want them to have and let them manage how often they do it. So rather than have a certain number of hours per day or minutes per day, you say, okay, I'd say about 5 is probably good for this, but you can sort of guide a 3-year-old along the way with this. Anyway, so let's say it's 10 hours a week for an 8-year-old. You've decided. That's what you've decided. If they use up those 10 hours in the first 4 days, they've got 3 days of no screen time. Do not give in. Do not give them any. Family movie night does not count. And if they have a play date with a friend, they can have screen time them. I never punish other people or social stuff. So they can, but then that comes off the next week. So if they have a friend over and they've got no screen time left and it's Saturday, if they have a friend over they can go on there for 3 hours, but the next week they only get 7 hours of screen time. Okay, so Anyway, but yeah, you don't want to micromanage that. It's one of those really good leadership skills where you just sort of set down okay, here's the system and you manage it. You don't want to micromanage everything. Anything, actually. I never micromanaged anything with my kids. I just told them this is what's going to happen. So you choose how to do it. Does it get ugly? Yeah, because often they don't believe you. If you've not been consistent in the past and you say you're only going to get this many hours, they don't believe you because in the past you've said lots of stuff you haven't followed through on. So it's going to be harder. If you've messed up in the past, yes, it's going to be harder, but it's worth it. You got to go through the storm to get to the rainbow, and the rainbow's worth it. Can you make a reel with the screen advice you just gave us? Yeah, I'll do a media management video. I've done lots of them on TikTok, but I don't manage my Instagram, so I'm not sure. I got someone way smarter than me who does that. TikTok, I do my own TikTok, so I put all the good, bad, and ugly videos on there, and then they just curate whatever's best. I don't worry about that. I don't go for views. I just go for what I want to talk about. And it all comes from you and my clients when I'm coaching. Oftentimes they'll say something and I go, oh, that's, a recent one that was just, I thought was brilliant was something I said and I thought was brilliant, which of course probably wasn't. But anyway, in my mind it was. And what had happened was I said, well, you want to be fun with your children because that's their love language. And I went, oh God, and I did a video on that on TikTok. I think that one went on Instagram too, and probably on Facebook and YouTube also. Anyway, but I don't do all those, so I don't know. But anyway, I put it on Instagram, on TikTok. Didn't get huge views. I wish it would because it's really important. You know how we all have a love language? Mine is touch. It's not gifts or money or compliments. I could care less. Mine's all touch. Anyway, and everyone has a different love language. And but children's love language is fun. They feel that I feel most love if someone just puts their arm around me, gives me a hug, whatever. That's when I feel most loved. Children feel most loved when you're having fun with them. That's when they feel the most special and the most loved, like pretty much all kids. That's their love language. So think about that. Oh, don't give nutritional advice on here. This is not the platform for it. And you don't know anyway. So yeah, nobody really knows. It's a lot of speculation, by the way. So yeah, don't do that on here. Thank you. Your approach really resonates with me. Excellent. Cooked or pep? No. When you mention ignoring tantrums, what does that look like? Okay, so there's a way of ignoring a tantrum. I'll tell you the mall story with my son. The best one is the swing story, but it's longer, and I'm kind of running out of steam here because I still want to go over to TikTok. I'll tell you the mall story. My son was 3, and it was the second to last tantrum. We were going to the parking lot. He wasn't tired. We didn't leave anything. I don't know why, but anyway, he decided to throw a tantrum for what I thought was no reason. Who knows? Anyway, so I pulled him off to the side because there was a staircase there. It was a very loud, busy mall, so it wasn't disturbing anyone. So he's having a tantrum, and I pull out my trusty tantrum nail file. All I'm doing is I'm filing my nails. I don't look at him or talk to him. I pretend it's like you're waiting for a bus. You don't go on your phone and you don't get into a conversation with people. I think that's rude. You want to look like you know they're doing it, but you're just waiting, like you're waiting for a bus. It's like, yeah, I'm just waiting here. You don't give them any attention at all. So I'm just waiting. The funny part was that time in the mall was these young moms were coming up to me saying, you should give him a hug. Talk about his big feelings. Taking advice from someone who just has little children is like taking financial advice from someone with $10 in the bank. It makes no sense at all. How do they know what they're doing is an investment in tomorrow? They don't know what they're talking about. Anyway, I didn't listen to them. I just said, yeah, okay, keep going, whatever. But these grandmothers and moms with older kids were coming over to me saying, good on you. You know what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing. I had lots of experience with kids before I had my own. So anyway, then here's the thing. He finishes the tantrum. It didn't even go on that long because he was 3. He was used to this by now. Didn't even go on for that long. And then he got up and I said, oh, you all done? Okay, let's get going. And we left. That was it. I don't discuss tantrums before, during, or after. There is no point whatsoever. None. What's the point? It's a loss of emotional control. That's all it is. You're going to discuss that with a child? You're going to try and reason through that? Good luck with that. That's like talking to a girl with premenstrual syndrome. A 13-year-old with is premenstrual. Good luck with that. Trying to reason with that. I remember my mom used to say, oh, this was so funny. I used to work at this place, BC Tel. It was years and years ago, and I worked in the sales department with these really funny guys. I was like 18. They were like in their 30s, and they were all like big brothers to me. They were so funny. Anyway, one time I said something like I lost my patience or something. And they said, oh, someone's premenstrual or something like that. One of them said it. So you know what they did? They put up a calendar and they circled all the days they figured I was going to be premenstrural. And it just got to be a joke. Anytime I'd say anything that was the least bit not sweet, they'd all say, oh, check the calendar. I thought that was so cute. Anyway. Does that answer your question about ignoring tantrums? Any attention is tantrum food. And as they get older, they tend to lean into what works and lean away from what doesn't. If they get no attention during a tantrum, they just kind of lean away from it. And so you ignore the crazy and you reward the calm. The attention is the reward. So, oh, you all done? Okay, let's go to the car. Does that make sense? Any advice for separation anxiety at school drop-off? No, do what I did. Do the dump and run. See you later. Have a good day. Don't go on about it. And then go sit in the parking lot and cry all by yourself. Don't let them see you cry. They'll get used to it. They'll survive. It's a transition. I always talk about transitions with children. We're all like that. None of us like change. Moving is hard for us. Even changing banks is hard for us. Transitions are hard, and especially for children. So they often tend to cry. And that's okay. That's part of them learning how to deal with change. And life is full of changes. Red light therapy could easily get one for 20. I don't know what that is. Could you please talk about autism? No, I don't. Autism is a specialty. I only discuss autism during one-on-one coaching. If you want to discuss that with me, you have to hire me for coaching because they're all different. They all have such different needs, sensory issues, etc. Plus, I don't know what you're already doing that is working and what you're doing that isn't working. They're all different. So yeah, I can't generalize with that. Himalayan salt lamps. Oh, geez. What are you talking about? Oh, God. Yeah, my 18-month-old son shoves his fingers. He vomits when he gets mad. Lots of kids do that. It's not super common, but I've heard of a lot of kids doing that. Just physically say no, and then you just hold his hand. Don't let him do it, and then just look away while you're holding his hand. He's probably still going to do it for a while. It's just one of those things. They have to get sick of doing it. Well, sick of it. I was trying to be funny. Anyway. Can you give examples on how to discipline an almost 3-year-old? They're all about consistent corrective actions. If they do something you don't like, you say no, and then you remove the fun from them or remove them from the fun. No timeout. You take them away from it just temporarily, and they're with you, or they're just sitting maybe 2 feet away from the fun. Timeout is when you send them in a corner or on a timeout chair or something all by themselves. You send them away to think about what they did. I hate timeout. They don't think about anything except for how awful they feel about themselves. It's just torture. I hate timeout. What are you doing talking about food and medicine? That's not the place for it. Can there be 2 leaders in the household? It is rare. There's usually 1 leader and 1 pleaser. There's never an authority and a leader, though. They are oil and vinegar. The authority is the old-fashioned, my way or the highway, I know everything, and I never apologize or explain myself. A leader is not like that at all. A leader knows how to get the best out of children, but you're also accountable. That's why you're on the behavior board, too. Leaders are accountable because they're not listening to you anyway. They're watching you. So if you're accountable, they're more likely to be accountable. And the authorities tend to raise children who rebel in the teen years, but then they come out fine and they appreciate what their parents did for them. Leaders, the kids never rebel. My son was 15 and he says, I could never rebel because you're too reasonable and easy to talk to. I'm like, you're welcome. Anyway, so yeah, leaders, you don't build resentment. And you certainly don't set yourself up as holier than thou. Authorities do. It's not a bad way to parent. The new style, pleaser parent, is a total disaster. You're raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. They could be 25 years old. And you didn't validate my feelings. Well, I'm just the bus driver, lady. Like, it's just, they're so fragile. They're so self-entitled and mental health. They're very weak. There's no strength there. There's no fortitude. Because you've been trying to pave the way and make everything easy for them. You even allowed them to get participation awards. I didn't even allow my kids to get those if anyone offered them. I said, are you freaking kidding me? They turn up and they get rewarded for it? Are you freaking kidding me? How stupid is that? God, I hate that. I remember when it first came out, participation awards, I thought, are you kidding me? What is that teaching them? Nothing. Teaching them that they get an award just for turning up. How self-entitled. Those are the same kids, if you're the pleaser parent style, those are the same kids that as adults, they fight parking tickets, even though they know they're wrong. That's self-entitled. The rules don't even apply to me. I was only there for 2 minutes, and I saw they were there for 20, but I was only parked for 2 minutes. What difference does it make? You know, it's that same self-entitled. You can just tell, I know exactly how they were parented. Zero accountability, zero. Anyone who fights something when they're guilty was not raised with any accountability. They were raised by a pleaser parent who paved the way, made everything easy for them, catered to them, even told the teachers how to single their special child out and make everything easy for them. It's all that kind of stuff. That's not the real world. When the kids grow up and they actually face the real world, they're a mess. They're just a mess. What is knowledge if it isn't shared? That's hearsay. That's not necessarily knowledge, what you're sharing, by the way. Okay. I just purchased the potty party class and I'm a bit worried about the nighttime routine. Do you have any additional advice on potty training at night? It's all in there. So I don't know what you mean. Did you read through the whole course? Potty training at night. I'm just going to make a note. Someone else asked something similar. Potty training course at night. I'm pretty sure I hit on that, but I'll go into the course. It's actually on my list. Oh, that's not the one that's on my list. Sorry, it's a different list. Anyway, I will look at, oh yeah, it's a different list. Anyway, I wrote that down. That'll be added to my list. I got a million different things I'm working on right now. Okay. I don't answer adult tantrums. I teach children stuff. Do you know a huge portion of my coaching one-on-one, it's all about you. It's all about the parents. We go through it depends on what's going on in your life, but we often go through your childhood, your marriage issues, your divorce. We talk about all sorts of stuff because if I don't help you heal what else is getting between you and leadership parenting, we can't get to work. So a huge portion of, I'm not a therapist or anything, but my clients claim I am, but I'm not. I'm not qualified. There you go. No qualifications. But a lot of it is healing you. If you're really struggling with things, so a lot of that is healing you. So if you're still having tantrums, I don't know why. I'd have to figure out why. And what's the payoff? What's the payoff for having a tantrum? The thing is, here's the difference between how stupid adults are compared to kids. Kids only do what works. Us adults don't. We're stupid. We keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So let's say you do have a habit of having tantrums and they get horrible results or never work. You're still going to keep doing it until you until you can change the pattern. But yeah, kids aren't like that. Kids only do what works. Past the age of about 3.5 to 4, around there. They only do what works. There has to be a payoff or they won't do it. Whereas we're stupid. I know I am. I do this all the time. Exact same thing, expecting different results. So yeah, kids aren't like that. They're way smarter than us. No, they're just not they don't have as much baggage as us. So yeah, they're just learning. So in a lot of ways their brains are fresher and they're just sort of, they're a little bit more efficient in a lot of ways. Sorry, I just have to zip through because it doesn't move for me. Oh, shoot. I got to move now. I got to move over to TikTok because I try to do 30 minutes on each platform, and it's been over an hour now because I did Facebook and Instagram. Anyway, if you want to join me over on TikTok, I'm moving over there now. Otherwise, check out the link and you can hire me for coaching, buy my boot camp, which is 3 to 12 years old. That's my big course, or my mini toddler courses, or you can download my free behavior board. I went backwards that time. I'm trying to because I can't hear myself anymore when I say it the other way. Anyway, thanks so much for joining me. I really appreciate it. And I'm moving over to TikTok. It's Bratbusters Parenting over there if you want to join me there. Thank you. Okay, YouTube, I'm still with you. Um, shoot, just a sec. Any messages here? I need to take a bathroom break, but I can't. Don't know how to do that when I'm still on YouTube. Okay, I just won't move around a lot. And I shouldn't be drinking Diet Pepsi either. Okay, welcome to my live. You're just coming in. On Instagram, everyone turns up the same time, instantly. 100 people, 150 people, right at the same time. Facebook and TikTok, for some reason, they filter in slowly. I don't know why that is. Can't figure it out. And if you look it up, no one ever knows. No one ever knows what happens behind the scenes on these platforms. It's a big secret. I can't figure it out. Well, I don't know anything about social media anyway. Okay, so if you go in the link above, you can download my free behavior board, buy one of my mini toddler courses or my big boot camp course, or you can hire me for one-on-one coaching. I've been asked a lot in the last week if I do coaching. I'm a parenting coach. That's what I do. Most of my days are spent coaching people. So it's all done on Zoom. Doesn't matter where you are in the world. I cater to all different time zones. And I work some, I don't like to do it. I try not to, but I often have to work weird hours just to cater to some different time zones. Oh, I think my earliest one was, because I go to the gym every morning, so I think my earliest session was years ago, and I think I did a 7 a.m. one. That was not good. I'm up at 5, but I go to the gym, and oh my goodness, that was too much for me. But it's time zones, right? Okay, so parenting questions, feel free to ask away. Okay, can an authority be converted to be a leader? Very good question. No one's ever asked me that before. I don't remember that anyway. I often talk about the old-fashioned authority-style parenting and then the newfangled pleaser parent, which is a total disaster. The old-fashioned authority style wasn't bad. You're still raising great adults. The pleaser parent is raising self-entitled snowflakes with mental health issues. It's a total disaster. I teach leadership. It's neither. If it was anything, it would be closer to the authority. But the big difference is I'm also accountable. My kids had a voice. If they didn't like something I was doing, boy, I heard about it. And I would often change. I'd say, you're right. I am to this or to that. Yeah, okay, I'll change that. Or, what can I do to make it up to you? So I was accountable. An authority is never accountable. And the leader, and also I was best friends with my kids. We goofed around all the time. Humor was everything in our family. So we were always having fun together. The authority can be fun, but they are still more, they're not accountable for sure. They don't tend to apologize. They don't have consequences, whereas I certainly had all that. That's the difference. So, but an authority, the thing is, here's the thing. When I'm hired and there's an authority in the family, they're not usually too interested in what I'm saying. This is what they look like during coaching. The one who hired me is like this, and the authority's at the back like this. And I'm always thinking, gee, I wonder who wanted to hire me. So I usually confront them on it too. So we laugh at it. Anyway, they don't want to be accountable. You know what happens? I can't say this. No, I'll say it. Anyway, what they see that, and I'll say, fine, don't even be on the behavior board then. That's fine. Maybe you can just watch and, see if you like what I'm saying, whatever. So, or you agree, you've paid this money for coaching, just be on there for 3 weeks. Give it 3 weeks, see how it goes. Either way, it doesn't matter. But you know what often happens is when the authority sees the relationship that the leader is getting with the kids, they end up being more the fun one. They're goofy. They get more respect. The kids come to them with everything. The authority has often hired me on the side behind the other parent's back because they get jealous of the relationship with that parent and they don't want to admit it. So I have to keep it on the sly and talk to the other parent as if I didn't even talk to the other one. So yeah, it's quite funny. And they're always kind of, you ever done this before? And I go, more often than you would think. So yeah, the authority, you can just sort of let loose and be accountable and be human. And you don't have all the answers. I always told my kids, I'm stupid. I'm old, but I'm stupid. Like, I don't know. I never set myself up as a know-it-all, ever. When my kids asked me something, I'd say, I don't know. Let's figure it out together. So we did. But I was the leader. They respected me. But it was mutual. But I was very much the leader. Is there a time frame is too long to ignore a tantrum? So in other words, if it goes on, the longest I ever heard of, it was a much older kid. I can't remember, he was 6 or 7 or something. It was a little boy. And this kid was totally in charge. I won't go into it at all. But he was totally in charge in every way in the family. That's why they hired me. They were in the red zone. I worked with them for quite a while, actually, because it was difficult. But anyway, the red zone. I think his first tantrum, when the parents were ignoring it rather than giving in and giving him whatever he wanted, which is what happened in the past, and he was much older, he knew eventually they'd give in. And I psyched them up for this. And we didn't even do it in the first week. We had to wait a few weeks before we even did this because I had to work on other stuff. Just trying to build the parents up and strengthen them up. I think it went for 5 hours. He was vomiting, just about passing out. It was ugly. They made sure he was healthy, like he wasn't dying or anything, but he went on for about 5 hours. He would sort of almost nap for a while. He was so exhausted. Then he'd wake up, realize he still had to tantrum some more because the parents weren't giving in. It was ugly, but it fit and we fixed it. So yeah, it was a long, long time. So I don't really put a time limit on it, but if they're really little, you can use diversion. If they're really getting themselves in a tizzy and they're tiny and you can tell they're in a loop and they just can't get themselves out of it at all, you can get their favorite book and you can read it out loud to yourself. Do not look at them or talk to them. You sit down near them and you go, oh, and the fox went over there. Wow. Hopefully they'll start, oh, okay, and they'll climb in your lap. Don't mention the tantrum. You don't want to shame them. Like, don't say, oh, you finally decided to stop tantruming, eh, and came over here. Just say, oh, and the fox, do you like that when they come over and they're calm? Do you like that picture? I like that picture. So that's what you can do if they're little. I knew that I had to push those parents with that older child. I had to psych them up for that ugly scene because I knew it was the only way to fix that kid. And it did. It was, it was ugly. It was one of those, I knew it was going to be ugly. I psyched them up for it for a couple of weeks before we even did it. And yeah, those poor parents. That was like, I don't know, 15 years ago. They're probably just recovering now. How to deal with a toddler who's biting other toddlers in daycare. Nothing you can do. That's up to the daycare workers. You cannot address that from afar because toddlers are in the moment. And toddler to me is under the age of 3. They're in the moment. They're all about actions. There's nothing you can do. Nothing. But if you allow them to bite anyone at home without consistent corrective action, they're more likely to keep doing it at daycare. So make sure that you don't allow it at home. But there's nothing you can do about the daycare. That's up to them. By the way, if they're, a lot of parents get upset about this because they've had kids who've been kicked out of daycare for being violent and aggressive towards other kids. And the daycare people have to do that. If they literally can't control a child, they can't endanger, they can't keep sending other kids home with bruises and bite marks on them. Because imagine if you were the parent of those kids. You see what I mean? It's their job to keep the child safe. So I'm not saying that's going to happen to you, but if it does happen, it's their responsibility to keep the other children from being bitten and leaving marks and bruised and being harmed. I've heard some real horror stories. And then parents getting mad that their kid's kicked out of daycare, but then I try and explain to the parents, how would you feel if your child came home and had a bite mark right over the eye socket? That's happened. So yeah, they could have lost an eye. I'm not saying it's that bad, but I'm saying, you have to have some compassion for the daycare people. Some kids are just going to do that stuff. There are 4 things that kids are born to do. It's not your fault that they start doing it, but it is your job to get them out of it. But it's a very hard thing to do when they're really little. Okay, they're going to go through it for quite a while, maybe a couple of years. So anyway, there's 4 things they're either born to do or they're never going to do. One is tantrums. One is being aggressive, hitting, biting, that kind of stuff. Another one is running. They run away from you out in public. They don't even look behind to see if you're there. They have no fear. Kind of is similar to climbers. That's the other one. They're either going to climb and have no fear or they're never going to do it. And they're either born with those tendencies or they're not. My kids, the only one they had was my son had tantrums. They didn't have any of the others. Some kids get all 4, okay? Don't overreact to it. It's just it's in their DNA, and they will eventually outgrow it so long as you address it with consistent corrective actions. And then by the time they're 3, you start putting that stuff on the behavior board. If you want me to address each one individually, I can, because it comes up a lot. And yes, I do deal with teenagers. They're my favorite age. There's 2 things I've been asked a lot in the last week. One is, do you do one-on-one sessions? I'm a coach. That's what I do. And that's what I do. Most of my days are coaching. 1 hour Zoom a week with people generally. Like each person different anyway. So that one. And then the other one is, do you know anyone who works with teenagers? That's my specialty, is teenagers. So I'm just making that clear. I work with teenagers, or not work with them, but I mean, I work with parents of teenagers. That's my favorite age. I started my business doing teen crisis work. So that's my background, but I don't lead with that, but I only do that in coaching. I don't discuss crisis or difficult stuff on here. I don't want to scare you. Some of it's really difficult. And also children who've been abused and all that stuff. I did a lot of that, and I still do, but I don't lead with it. Do you know why? About, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, probably more like 15 years ago, I used to do a lot of TV, and as the parenting expert, you'd come on, they'd give parenting advice. Anyway, I was at the top of the news one night because some kid had, I don't go into it, I can't say it here, but anyway, they did you can imagine to themselves. And then they were asking me as the expert, how do you prevent that? And they introduced me as the crisis queen. And they were great to me. They were wonderful to me, but I don't want to be the crisis queen. I want to be the prevention. I don't want to be a queen, but I'd rather prevent that than just trying to fix all the damage kind of stuff. But anyway, so, but that's why I stopped leading with that. And I pulled away from that crisis, from talking about it. But I still do it in coaching. Yeah, there you go. My 3-year-old in daycare is hitting and throwing. They want to kick him out. Yeah, you understand why they have to. They cannot have other kids going home bruised and harmed. You understand that, okay? Now, he's 3 years old. You didn't say it was a boy, him. He's 3 years old. You can do something about that when they're 3. Put it on the behavior board. No hurting other people. Keep it very general. Not kicking, not kids. No hurting other people. If you do, there's a consequence. And the daycare worker, the teacher will be telling me if you do that at school. And then there's different levels of how we deal with that. But just start there. Have a consequence if he does, that he has to do a chore or something. Or actually at that level, I might even take TV away or screens away for the night. If you hurt someone at daycare today, there's no screens all night long. So I would even go at that level. If he's almost being kicked out, I would go to that next level. I don't take screens away right away. That's the second discipline if they won't do the first. But yeah, just make it hurt. What I mean is make the consequence hurt. If he's used to getting an iPad every night or something, if he kicks someone during the day, he doesn't get it. That would hurt him. I mean, mentally, right? Yeah, so he might learn that way. It's difficult. But you can understand I know people tend to get mad at the daycare. It's not their fault. Like they have to kick a kid out if the other children are going home with bite marks and bruises on them. They have to. Because I would have a fit if my kids came home with teeth marks in their face, and that happens. But I would have a fit if that happened to my kids. So yeah. But you can fix it. Oh, I got a whole bunch of stuff here on YouTube. Sorry, it's just on YouTube, people are usually on their computers, so there's a lot more typing involved. So I watch it for you. Oh, no, I don't teach. I only teach parenting. If you're babysitting or daycaring or teaching or child psychologying someone, I don't discuss that. I only discuss parenting. So someone was asking about a child they watch. I don't discuss that. Because if I tell you what to do and the parents don't like it, you see, I only teach parenting. Okay, another one from Sarah. My 2-year-old daughter screams when her brother goes near her, touches her, tried to take a toy. Instead of saying stop or no talking, she squeals. How do I stop the high-pitched scream? Well, you don't. Like, what is your brother younger or older? That makes a big difference, actually. So yeah, what's the age of the brother? She's 2. What's the age of her brother? I'm guessing he's older. I could be wrong though. She's 2 and he's 3. Yeah, he's older. Okay, so tell him he can't take a toy. If he does take a toy away from her, she gets to play with his favorite toy for 10 minutes, 5 minutes even. Just play with her with his favorite toy. So every time he takes something away, I'm assuming she's reacting to injustices or unfairness. Behind your back, he probably does take stuff away from her and she gets upset. That's why she's ultra sensitive to it. You're just going to have to make it a project. You're going to watch them like a hawk, and every time he takes something away, you go right over there, very calmly say, no, you don't take that away from her. And then she gets your favorite toy for 5 minutes. Give it a go. It might work. What do you suggest for brothers arguing all the time, age at 11 and 8? Well, I've got so many different answers for that. I'll give you one of my favorite answers for that is in order to prevent sibling rivalry and get kids to get along is, I have a few different ways of explaining it. A little bit more raw when I'm coaching. I'll try and make it sound a bit nicer here. I have some terms in coaching I don't use anywhere else. Anyway, because you get to know people in coaching, so I get a bit more raw. Anyway, so here's what I suggest you do. You don't do one-on-one time with each kid. If you want to mend their relationship, everything that you do with your kids, you do with all three of you or all four of you. And you do silly stuff. You never do anything competitive where there's a winner and a loser. So just do silly stuff. Say, hey, we're going to go do paintball today. Or we're going to do balloon tennis before dinner. You just play with those silly dollar store rackets, and the coffee table in the living room is the net, and you just get a balloon. Just do silly stuff. And always play to the weakest link, like the youngest one, so that they can be good at it. And they're not like the one who just can't do anything. Also, make sure it's something that you're really bad at, because my kids bonded over laughing at me. That was how they bonded. It was like, oh, did you see what mom did the other day? Oh, look at mom, she can't do somersaults. Like, I remember once we did somersaulting contest. I did one and just about threw up. And they love that. It bonds them. Laughing at you bonds them. So yeah, do everything together. That's probably my favorite. I've got a million different ideas, but that's probably my favorite one. It encourages family unity and family fun. Okay, you got a 6-year-old who steals things from friends and lies about it. I don't know what to do. That's kind of next level. Red zone. I don't like that because I know where that can go. She's only 6. You can fix it. So just put down no stealing or lying. You can just say it like it is. No stealing or lying. Yeah, I would group those together. So, and then put it on the behavior board. That's free. Check out the link above. And then say, if you do steal, here's the consequence. She's got a million different, so many different ways I want to go with that. If she steals something, I would say, I always gave my kids allowance. That's one of those rare situations I would take money out of their allowance and give it to that other child. Say, look, you stole something from them. You're going to pay them double. You don't just give them back what you stole. That item costs $10. So you're out of your allowance, $20 is going to go to them. Do you understand? And you're going to write a note saying, I'm sorry. She's 6. I wouldn't do that with a 3-year-old, but a 6-year-old, yeah, I'd probably go there. It depends though. Like you don't want to shame her, but you want to teach her how to turn it around and be nice to that person. I always say if your kids do something mean to someone, teach them how to do something nice for them. So it's a little bit of a hard line, but yeah. I've been asked this a lot in the last week. Do you do virtual consulting? I don't do consultations, but I do coaching. You have to pay for that. Consultations always to me think like free. I used to do free consultations. It was on my website for 15 years. Never had a problem with it. I blew up on TikTok 2 years ago, and they booked out for about 6 weeks or something. And I just had certain times that I had available for free consultations. They booked them all out solid. 80% of those people never turned up. I think it was more like 85%. Never even turned up. Because I went viral and everyone just said, oh, I'll take a consultation. And then they never even turned up. It was awful. I lost like 6 weeks of time. Oh my God. And then I just ended. I had to shut it down. No more free consultations. Anyway, this is where I do all my free stuff. This is where I answer. I'm on here for about an hour and a half every single day on different platforms. So this is where I do all my free information. Like if you want to ask me questions, you ask here. But the consultations were more, do you want to hire me for coaching? And it was asking what coaching is all about. Anyway, isn't that awful? But 80% didn't turn up. Oh God, live and learn. I didn't know. I don't know. I learned. It's all about learning. I'm just going to read this out because it's a compliment to me. And at this age, you don't get as many. So Sarah said, thank you. You were on here before too. I remember that name because I know I tried to say it and I was embarrassed because I knew I said it wrong. I'm going to tell you a funny story in a minute. Anyway, thank you. I watch your lives all the time. You're so knowledgeable and informative. Thank you for these lives. I'm just experienced and old. That's all it is. Yeah, I've been working with kids now for 52 years. And it's just experience-based. Anyway, I'm going to tell you a funny story. Years ago, I had a client, and his name was spelled, it was Jesus. So I said, hi, so you're Jesus? He said, I didn't know. It's spelled Jesus. He said, actually, it's pronounced Jesus. How embarrassing. So he thought that was hilarious. He goes, yeah, I get that from time to time, but how embarrassing. How could I not know that? Anyway. Do you have any courses for dealing with 2-year-old and a newborn? Nope, I do not. I do not, because there's nothing I could really say. I probably should do a course on that, and all I would say is just supervise. because you can't expect a 2-year-old to be responsible for a newborn's safety if they're left alone. You just can't. It's too much of an ask for a 2-year-old. So just supervise, be with them all the time. I tell this story a lot, but I had a friend who we both had very similar little boys. They were very gentle, not the least bit aggressive, so they played beautifully together. That's why we got together a lot for play dates. Anyway, so one day she had a brand new baby girl, darling little baby girl, and her little boy was a very gentle, sweet little boy, like mine was. They just weren't aggressive at all. But I guess he didn't understand. Like a brand new tiny baby, he went in the nursery, picked it up out of the bassinet, and threw it on the floor. He was just sick of it. He thought it was just like a doll. He didn't understand concussions, brain bleeds. And he didn't understand that. So yeah, supervise. And he was a very sweet little. He never did it again, but the mother just, of course, freaked out. How horrifying, eh? Anyway, so yeah, supervise. That would be the course. You can pay for that. If you want, maybe I'll do a course, supervise. Actually, all my courses that I built were probably 4 times the size. And because I always had test groups go through them. And then they said, no, it's too much. Just keep it simple. So now they're simple. And then I sometimes get people say, oh, there's not enough in them. I can't please everybody. So anyway, they're just, I've kept exactly what I think you need to hear. And I didn't muddy it up with a whole bunch of other stuff. But anyway. But yeah, I don't have one on that. That's actually my hardest, my biggest coaching challenge is when I've got a mom with a toddler, especially if it's a single mom, with a toddler and a newborn. Probably my most challenging coaching clients. The reason is that I'm dealing with moms who often have postpartum. She's only got 2 hands. She's got a newborn she's trying to breastfeed and a 2-year-old who's kicking her. I mean, physically, it's challenging. That's why I have to back off on what I tell the mom to do because she's just worn out physically. So yeah, that's probably my biggest challenge is trying to keep the mom sane while going through it. And so they often tell me how I help them is just to tell them you're not alone. This is quite normal. Lots of moms go through it. It's just an ugly stage sometimes. If you've got a rowdy 2-year-old and a newborn, it's a rowdy stage. Then you said 2-year-olds are wild. My kids weren't at all. So no, they're not all wild. Not all 2-year-olds. Mine weren't particularly active kids. And my son especially, he could entertain himself for hours. You give him a puzzle. He'd play like puzzle for hours by himself. He was very easy that way. My daughter was really sweet, never had a tantrum, never cried or anything. But she was Velcro. She wanted to be with me all the time. I sewed all their clothes. I used to have a sewing room and I gated it. And my son would just have all his toys. And I was like 2 feet away from them, but they'd be on the other side of the gate. And my son would be playing all his toys, talking to me the whole time, happy as anything. My daughter would just hang onto the gate like this with her chin quivering. She just wanted to be right up against me. And she wasn't precocious. So I took the gate down and I just had her right beside me, sitting on my foot. She was happy as anything, just sitting there playing. They're all different, right? You can't parent them all exactly the same. There you go. Yes, physically, mentally, and emotionally exhausting. 3-year-old, 2-year-old, 1-month-old. Yeah, so I can only help you by trying to support you emotionally. Give you some information, but it's more emotional support is what I found I have to do more than anything with that when you're dealing with that. Because how much can I get you to do? Yeah, it's you're already kind of strung out, aren't you? Yeah. Okay. What time is it? Okay, I'm almost done here. Okay. I only have a 9-month-old, but it's definitely hard. Yeah. The thing is, here's what I suggest you do. If you've got kids and you're really struggling, do not look at those beautiful, perfect mothers who have the easiest children in the world. My kids were pretty easy. I got respect when they were little. They were pretty easy, but they also weren't overly active kids. It wasn't perfect, but anyway, do not look at those beautiful mothers. You know how they have the twin sets that they're wearing, the jogging sets, and they just look and they're light pink color and they got no cellulite showing and they've got a brand new baby. And then they've got a gorgeous pram and the little toddler's got just gorgeous, got a beautiful little outfit on, all trendy looking. Don't look at that. Go look up parenting fails, mom fails, disaster with toddler, disaster with baby, and just laugh it off. Like, look at all the funny stuff that happens out there. That's way more real. I don't like the pretty stuff. I never want to be impressed. I want to be entertained. Like, I know a lot of people go out to impress. Those are not my type of people at all. I want to have fun. I just want to be entertained. I don't want to be impressed by anybody. My mom used to say, no one wants to be impressed. They just want to have fun. So yeah, don't look to anyone who's trying to impress. Look to people who are trying to just have a laugh. So yeah, look at mom fails. I remember once I turned up to this nice restaurant to meet friends, and my second child, my daughter, was brand new. And I turned up and I was holding her. And my friend said, "Is that baby poop on your forehead?" Yep, that's probably baby poop. I had baby poop on my forehead. That was, and I wouldn't have remembered that lunch if that hadn't happened. Like we all laughed. We were all mothers. We all laughed. That was funny. So yeah, look up mom fails. Look up funny parenting fails. Just funny stuff. You will feel a lot better. And then you won't even have to hire me for the emotional support. I'm not saying I don't want to work with you, but then you can save yourself a lot of money just by looking up funny parenting fails. Life's messy. Parenting's messy. And it's the fails that you remember. It's the funny stuff. Like I remember I've hosted a lot of big dinners, like with tons of people. And the only one I remember is the time that was Christmas and I hadn't finished cooking the turkey. It was still raw in the middle. And then I tried to hold back on all the other food so people wouldn't fill up. 4 hours later, I forced them into eating force fed them some turkey at like 11 o'clock at night. That's the only meal I ever remember. And we still laugh at it. Like, so that's the kind of stuff I like in life. Okay, the behavior board. Look in the link above and you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp course, or you can hire me for one-on-one coaching. Doesn't matter where in the world you are. That is Zoom. And I specialize in teenagers, but I do all ages. I've been hired by a huge portion of my clients are teachers, principals, and child psychologists. It's not that they're struggling more than other people, but they're perfectionists and they identify parenting is different from their institutional business roles. They're just different. So anyway, what was I going to say about that? Sugar. Where was I going with that? Sugar. Why would I say that? There was a reason. Can't remember. Darn it. There was a reason. Never mind. Okay. Oh, why are you ignoring so many comments unless it's about buying your stuff? Yeah, I don't answer those snotty comments. They make me laugh, but yeah, I don't answer snotty comments. Okay, so thanks so much for joining me. I'll be back again tomorrow. Tomorrow is Thursday. That's my regularly scheduled lives, and they're Instagram and TikTok. The Facebook one I haven't got scheduled in there yet, but I probably will do that first because I usually do it alphabetically: Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. So thanks so much for watching me. I'll be back again tomorrow, and have a good day. Bye now.